Welcome to Between Over and Next with your hosts, Holli and Robert, a happily married couple who explore the space between what was, what is, and what's to come. From career changes to navigating life's uncertainties, this dynamic duo will empower you to live your happiest life at every age and stage. So, get ready because your journey with Holli and Robert starts now.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to Between Over and Next. Hey, Robert.
Hey, Holly. Today's episode for me was going to be a very emotional episode, but luckily, because of who our guest is today and who we're going to share with you her wisdom, Jackie made what could have been our big move to a new home after 30 years could have been a disaster if it were left to me. But thankfully, Jackie was part of our life when we did this big move. And as you'll learn, the art of buying and selling a home is one that's not a transaction, but a relationship between so many different moving parts to make it happen. And it seems so simple at the surface, but it's such a complicated process on so many different levels that if you're not working with the right professional, and we'll share with you why you should do that and the things that make that person so special. Because as you'll learn, not every realtor is made up the same way and does not bring the same level of professionalism. So, you've known Jackie for many years and have a different relationship with her from our early days. And, that makes this even so much more special.
And importantly, it is about the power of people and connection and reconnection and relationships and really having our best interests at heart, meaning what are our wants and needs? What are our dreams? And you really want someone who cares about you and wants you to be happy, no matter what you decide. So this is a very special episode with our friend and realtor, Jackie Mandell. We are so happy you're here with us today, Jackie.
Beyond thrilled. I really am. Thank you, Holly. Thank you, Robert.
It's our
Means
pleasure.
the world to me. My heart is filled with joy and happiness. I am so happy to be here with you.
Well, we knew when we started the podcast that you were going to be one of our guests because besides us being friends for a very long time, your role as an expert in moving on is what really it is. You took on a
Thank
whole
you.
different role for us in this process, and we got to know you in a whole different way. And that's very unique.
And it was such an important role because we knew kind of what we wanted, but then we really learned more through you, Jackie, about what we can have or not have, or more importantly, you said you should have everything that you want.
Well, it's true. I mean, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, it meant the world to me to be your realtor because of you two. Now, can I backtrack a little
Of
bit?
course, you can.
Because of two of you, I always said I am who I am. So before becoming a realtor, before getting into real estate, I'll go way back. I moved to this wonderful neighborhood in Livingston, New Jersey. Started walking around and I see this woman with her two children. And then fast forward years later, I'm bringing my daughter to kindergarten and I'm pulling up to the drop-off line. And there's the woman that I met when I was walking around with the stroller, greeting me and making me feel so warm and welcome. And she's always been there for me. And so has Robert through the good and the bad times and a lot I went through in my life. Fast forward, I got divorced. They were, and I say this to them, they were the first to always be there for me. So to be there with you two through this transition many years later meant the world to me because it's the relationship with both of you. And knowing that you trusted me, and I am grateful for the opportunity, and where I was able to help you with my real estate knowledge and helping you get from A to Z really meant a lot because it's really about you, the relationship, and what's the right fit for you. And I love, 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 love to be here between over and next because you helped me get over and onto the next thing.
So Jackie was referencing you and me, by the way. It's so interesting, the moments of our lives and the people that come into your lives. And I really do feel, because even as a full circle moment, I mean, we even invited Jackie years ago to work with us with Wedding Podcast Network. So
Yeah.
we really,
Which helped me get techie, I must say. I knew nothing about it. Robert
Yeah.
and Holly taught me.
Yeah.
I didn't even know how to do it on a computer.
Well, no one knew what podcasts were.
well,
Yeah.
that's a good
And,
point.
you know, that was
a challenge in
hurdle.
itself.
Yeah,
Right.
all by itself.
But fast forward to 2020s, right? When we reconnected, I believe that was meant to be. You always say that, Robert. There were no coincidences.
No coincidence.
And I do believe that after trying to work with a few other realtors, right?
Well, that was interesting because we were professionals at the open house experience. Everyone tries to earn your business right there. Like if you're not working with someone, they want to work
start
with you.
dating.
Yeah. So that happened to us, probably 2 or 3 times. And we didn't know what to expect, but like anything else in the world, and people don't think about this, right? There are people who are really good at their jobs and people who are not so good at their jobs. But until you kind of meet the people that are not so good at their jobs, and then when we finally zeroed in, right? Because, as obvious a choice as you weren't obvious to us at the start. And I think it was supposed to happen that way, right? Because when we had those initial conversations, when it came to selling our home, buying a home, we knew immediately like we were dealing with someone at a whole different level than anyone that we had experienced before. But had we not known that, the impact of what you brought to us wouldn't have been nearly as big as it was.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
The thing is we were selling a house and we were buying a house. And selling a house to a builder, you guided us with that as our friend. Okay. And as more
Who
importantly,
knew everything.
as a real estate professional,
Yeah.
your guidance, your counsel, your support in every step of the way, you had our best interests at heart. It's not just about that transaction of buying and selling houses. This
Which
truly is a people business.
Yes, but it is when you think about that, right? When you think about the pyramid of life transactions, right? I think buying a home sits right at the top of that pyramid of being the biggest financial thing, right? The longest lasting, right? You sign a mortgage for 30 years.
It's an investment in your life and lifestyle.
Well, there's an emotional part of it, I always say, and then there's the financial part. But what I believe, and this is why I became a realtor, is that realtors have to understand the people, the needs and the wants. And like I always say, is your home is where your heart is. It's where your memories begin. It's where your memories are created. It's where you come home every day to feel safe, to feel secure, and you work every day to support your home. And a lot of people don't realize what is it that they really need or want or must have at that point. And people don't try to understand people. They just try to figure out this is what you can afford and hop into this car, not, what makes you feel comfortable and what's going to really make you feel complete and what's your story and where's that story beginning.
We think about it now more than we had ever thought about it in the 30 years of the home that we lived in, right? Raised our family in Livingston. It's a very different experience buying a home in your 20s or 30s, right? Starting a family versus that next step, right? Like that last chapter, right?
Well, like I always say,
doing
every
that.
profile of a buyer is different. You have the kind of person that's going from renting to buying their first home, buying their first home where it could be a 5-year plan or a forever plan like you do.
But how do you know that? If you would have asked us when we bought our first home in 1993, I don't know if we thought about how long we'd live there.
Well,
And I don't think we thought it would be 30 years.
I don't think
And-
we thought about it at all, but I do know other people in our lives that have.
Going on to the next chapter, the new beginning, the over and next, what is it that you're looking for that makes you feel complete? Like, what is it with the house, with the amenities, the lifestyle? And what do you want to look at? Do you want to look at a skyline? Do you want to look at the water? Do you want to look at nature? I talk to everybody about the two of you. I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent, but you're a weaving and you're doing something. You have a lifestyle now.
We always see in real estate, location, location, location. And I think about, we did something good when we moved to Livingston because we moved to a beautiful neighborhood with a nice piece of property. And I said, we didn't
You
think
hit the
about that.
jackpot. You hit the jackpot.
And we
Yeah.
did pretty good. And I think about all the things that we considered, right? Because, the climate is the same. We're really in the same neighborhood. We're near our family and friends.
Yeah, we didn't make a
Well,
geographic
you know
move.
what? But it's called the let's pretend. This is what I say to all my clients. Pretend you live there. I find you something you're going to fall in love with wherever you are. It could take a day, a month, a year, 10 years, but do the let's pretend. Go to the neighborhood if you're staying within the state, or go out of state. Like my one client went to Delaware. Another one's going to North Carolina. Someone's going to Florida. Someone else is going to Pennsylvania. Pretend you live there for a year. Why do I say that? Because I love Manhattan. I was the city girl. I worked there for years. I worked on 40th and 7th. I lived on 35th. I walked. I loved it. I thought, I'll never live in this city. I couldn't live that far from the city because I was commuting into the city.
Right.
I didn't do the let's pretend. I didn't.
Well, you knew.
But it took me 6 months to adjust to. And then I said to you two, well, think about this. Like, you still have everything at your footstep. Like you can go drive to your favorite restaurants. You're only at a town or two over.
Yeah.
You have your doctors, you have your favorite stores, you know all the areas. So it's not that big of ripping off the Band-Aid and moving to like Pennsylvania.
We had these people deciding to move from a house they've lived in for 20, 30 or more years, right? To saying, I would love to find my next dream home. So, Jackie, what are the top things they should know?
I mean, first of all, they should know what their needs and their wants are. And they should go into the different areas they are considering, see if they fit in. Go to a yoga class, see who's there. Go to the supermarket in the middle of the week and see who's running in to get food. Go to the dry cleaner, the nail salons, and talk to the people. I always say drive past the playgrounds, the schools. Just see the kind of people, see if you like it, pretend you live there, and drive from there to wherever you are to visit your children. If you like the beach, how far is it to the beach? How far is it going to take you to get to the airport? What's important to you?
Yeah.
If you travel a lot, where's the airport?
Right. No. People we take it for granted. We have 3 airports within, an hour or so of where we live.
And also,
people can travel 2 or 3 or 4 hours to get to an airport.
And also, New York, you have that in you. You like the culture, like the activity, you like the museums, you like the shows, the lifestyle. That's important to you.
You really do have to take stock of what matters most to you.
So, but that's what people who are considering it should think. And then I always say, take a map, because I'm old school, of New York and New Jersey. Take a pencil, draw a circle. Like, what would you consider? Take a notebook, not to sound goofy, but I like to write everything down. Write down your column
What's really
A,
far?
column
What's
B.
not far?
What are you looking for in your lifestyle? And then we have some sort of start.
When you're moving after such a long time, you accumulate a lot of stuff.
It's the whole other thing.
That's a big other thing.
That's a big other
It's
thing.
a big other thing because, as organized as you think you are, that's another emotional attachment. And then it becomes a physical something.
What happens is when you're thinking about your over to next, you think about what you could live with and what you could live without. So when you're looking for the next home, what you're taking, what you're not, and your lifestyles. Like, look at this amazing studio, right? So, and what you're going to need to fit there. So I always say, go through your house and do the 3 things: what I'm going to keep, what I'm going to give away, and what I'm going to throw out.
Most of what you think is so valuable is probably not valuable to anyone but you, right? So a lot of that stuff that was left behind, we felt bad about, but the truth of the matter is, no one needs a piece of furniture that holds a 35-inch tube TV anymore. It's, you know what I mean? It's like times change. So as much as you even want to give it away, like we couldn't give stuff away to people
Well, that's
because it
just it.
just
So,
there was
but
no
the
use
funny,
for it. So it has to get trashed.
okay, this leads me to the Holly and Robert thing that I say to everybody. Okay. Do you remember?
Well, I
Do
know.
you know what I'm going to say?
I know what Jackie's going to say.
Okay. She knows what I'm going to say.
She's quoting me.
Go
Well,
ahead.
she could say it, but we were, okay, so we're getting into the over and next,
Mhm.
and I was bringing builders to their property to see it. And I always say, like, where your story was, the next person always wants to know. And we had this moment. It was like an aha moment. We've had many aha moments together, but this one in particular, I like cry every time I think about it. And I say it to all my clients. I'm getting chills right now. We were standing in their backyard, and the two of them are standing together. Anybody that knows Holly and Robert, which is everybody, like everybody wants to be Holly and Robert, we're standing there. And she said, and I repeated to everybody, and I started bawling. My builder started bawling. But what did you say? Say it. You know what I'm going to say.
I'd rather you say it. I love when you say,
you don't have to say
because
it.
I said, wherever Robert is my home. And that is the truth.
Are you referring to me, Robert?
That's what I said.
That's
right,
what she
Jackie?
said.
Jackie was
That's
my
what she
witness.
said.
And I said, wherever we will be, doesn't matter what the house is, but I am home wherever you are. And that is my truth.
And
Thank you. I'm glad it's here.
And I say
And
that to
I'm
everybody.
really happy it's here.
Yes. Well, then we had our moment standing in the parking lot here, which Holly calls her parking lot moment.
Well, those were aha moments and really putting things into perspective. And you were the voice of reason, Jackie.
Well, I love these two.
We had our own unique story. And I know, Jackie, you could share hundreds of stories because at the end of the day, we saw about 100 houses.
Remember the list? You used to give me organized lists, and I'm like, let's just go.
Oh,
you know?
I did.
We would see 4 or 5
I said, we got to
open
go.
houses.
We got to go. Came on. We got to go.
In a crazy time, too.
Yeah,
I mean, people clamoring for houses and the
But you know
bidding
what? They
process.
always are. They always are because someone always needs someplace to live. So that's why I say, if everybody else is acting craziness, don't make yourself act craziness. Like, you want to find something else. You want something to be the right fit for you, and it will happen. And you believe that, and you believe that. So we looked until you found comfortable to something that you felt like, you know what, you can go to that.
Well, you just said the most important part. It is not only the power of patience, it's the power of belief.
Yeah.
And that is a mindset. And that is saying, even when you feel that it is so not going to happen, if you keep thinking it's not going to happen, guess what, everyone? It will not happen.
But that's so true in so many things. Whether you're looking for a spouse, how many people do we know that are single, longing for that relationship that they never, ever have?
Well,
it's the same kind of thing. And I really, truly believe that there's certain receptivity. You have to be open. I was prepared to not sacrifice, but trade-offs on a couple of things. But it was miraculous, but I didn't want to, but I was willing to. But it was really miraculous because I didn't have to give up anything.
Because you believed it. Remember, I kept saying it will happen.
You did.
And you two are easy like that because you do believe.
You are a big part of our success. We are beyond grateful, not only for Robert and I, but also for our children, Lindsay and Elliot, and even how you helped us with Alex's rental, helping us because of your expertise, your breadth of knowledge, because there is so much that happens with real estate that so many people are unaware of. And I think that once they get to meet you, and especially versus all the other realtors we met,
I love her.
They didn't, this is true. I only speak my truth. They didn't take the time to explain the intricacies of the journey and the process.
And the strategies from how to make an offer, you know what I mean? Having the sensibility, right, to reach out to certain people at certain times, right? If you don't know people, if you don't really truly understand the process, you wouldn't have come up with those ideas and those strategies to help us get what it is, or anyone you're working with, get what it is that they want.
Based on our experience.
I'll tell you what I always do. I always compare it to what you two always do, like the day of the wedding. Everybody has this idea. And I use this analogy. One day I'm going to get married. One day I'm going to own a home. One day I'm going to own a second home. One day I'm going to move on from my forever family home to the next chapter. Everybody has this idea of I can do it like you two did. I can sell that. I can move on to my next journey. So it's like the day of the wedding. They all have this idea of what it is, but they don't understand how to get from saying yes when he pops the question to standing at the altar saying,
Yeah.
I do. There's a lot that happens in between.
There
So
is.
there's and it could be different. You can have the gorgeous wedding like you have for your daughter, which I tell everybody about. With experience, people make it seamless. Or you can have somebody like I just went to my friend's daughter, which is amazing, but it was the first that they ever did. So, everybody's at a different part. That's why it's important to sit down, kind of explain we're at this step or that step. And every step, there's like 50 layers in between it,
And
right?
there were.
Sort of like the wedding. You have to get the dress, you have to pick a place, you have to get an invitation.
But what you just said,
So,
whether it be event professionals or podcast professionals or real estate professionals,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I'm going to come back to how we started. It is all about the people. And when you have a good network of people and you
Right.
like, know, and trust people, that's how you make things happen. You make sure you're working with the best of the best
Right.
that can provide services that are going to be aligned with what matters most to you.
Exactly.
And it is at a wedding, it's about the guest experience.
Mhm.
In real estate, it's about the customer experience.
Exactly.
And listen, the bottom line is there's only so much you can be in control of, right? And you can pick a place and decide and say, okay, this is it. We're going to move here. And, the bottom line is if for whatever reason that you're not happy, right? You move. I mean, that's the worst case scenario, right? You have to always be aware of what's going on around you.
I want you to know that
That's
all of those things that are happening around us,
Mhm.
it's an opportunity for your next big thing, your next dream home, your next big move. And it's an opportunity for new friendships to enhance your well-being, your social life, your experiences overall.
I talk about you two all the time, how your life is so full. Your glass is so full. It's overflowing.
Fulfilled.
It
We are
always
fulfilled.
was where you are. It's just a different thing now. And how you love who you are and you're making new friendships and you're doing new activities. Even just the believing, you have to believe in your heart and you know that things will be okay and that you're worthy and you deserve it. And you did. And that's why it happened. They couldn't be more perfect. Even walking into your studio here, I'm like, oh my God, I love your hand railing. Where did you get that? No, she's laughing. Oh, I want that in my house. It's such joy and happiness to pull up here, as your friend who knows and loves you forever. And to have been a part of your story and to continue to be a part of your story. I mean, that really means the world to me. Like to just come here, I'm gushing with pride because it's really everything you ever wanted. And it happened. It's like everything is right here.
Our happy is
It's
priceless.
just overjoyed.
And we thank you. And we thank you for helping making it happen.
Yeah. And we truly couldn't have done it without you.
You can't thank me because I feel blessed I feel so fulfilled to have been there for you. And I love this podcast. I love listening to the two of you. I love that you actually
Careful
asked
what
me
you
to be a
asked for.
part of it.
Jackie, thank you so much
Oh, thank
for
you
coming
both
to
from the
our
bottom of
studio,
my
being
heart.
one of our guests on Between Over and Next. So we're really happy you could be here.
Beyond thrilled. Thank you both. Thank you.
Robert, would you agree that there were a lot of takeaways in our talk with Jackie?
Well, I agree, yes. And what I like the most is that these are not what you would consider typical, tips for real estate because, again, you talk about a real estate transaction. It's not a transaction. This is something that takes a whole lot of people that have to work in concert in order to make this happen for a home buyer and a home seller.
And like
That's the
Jackie
bottom line.
said, there are a lot of steps, a lot of layers. It's a process. It's discovering what matters most to you. It's having a positive, optimistic belief system and mindset. And there's a lot of communication that needs to happen to make dreams come true.
There is, and
Our dreams came true.
yes, and I have to say, and listen, people have different amounts of time in which to do things, but this is an effort, right? When you're buying a new home or selling a home or moving and those types of things, you need to dedicate a lot of time to this. Don't expect that, if you're, buying a home or selling a home. We were selling a home after 30 years. It's major. It takes time. It takes energy, and you have to prepare yourself for that.
And it's a really big transaction, like Robert said at the top of the episode. Financially, the investment and the emotional investment, especially after 30 years, particularly. I totally feel that we are in the right place at the right time with each other.
Yeah. And listen, I certainly admit I took more time, I think, than most. And I have to say, I'm happy, and I think you are ultimately
beyond happy
that we took the time, made the right decision, sacrificed a bit in having to take as long as it did, right?
That was in reflection. That
pales.
That's
I mean,
hard.
yes, but I mean, it's something that
fades.
I think if we don't, yes, because we ended up with
in the right place,
with a place that we love,
and you should have,
and all. So,
and you should have everything you want. I
right,
mean,
so
really, do not compromise.
Right, don't settle.
Don't
Really,
settle.
don't settle.
That is something we talked about offline.
Yeah.
Do not settle. Do not
You'll
settle with the
find it.
people in your life.
You'll find it.
And do not settle with
find
the
it.
things that you want and what you want to surround yourself with. Okay? You deserve to have everything you want. And it's possible. We know it's possible after looking at over 100 or so dwellings.
Correct. Taking
Together.
a lot of Sundays were spent at open house.
But it was an adventure and
I never
a journey.
took my shoes on and off so much in my life.
That's true. Those little fun blue slippers.
We got
little
better
booties,
at putting those little booties
little
on.
booties. But you learn to wear easy shoes in and out of the house.
Yeah. So thank you, Jackie, for everything, in regards to H2. So yeah.
We are forever grateful. And by the way, we're forever grateful that you are tuning in to Between Over and Next. It means more than you will ever realize. So we hope that you got some value out of this episode, and that if you're considering your next big move, that you think about what we discussed today.
Thanks for tuning in to Between Over and Next. We hope you enjoyed this episode and found it meaningful and insightful.
If you value it to be worthwhile, please share it with your friends and family.
We would really appreciate it if you could take a moment to write a review for us. Your feedback will help us continue to create content that resonates with you.
And don't forget, in the show notes, you can find all the relevant links mentioned in this episode, from accessing free downloads to visiting our website and more.
If you have any questions or comments, we would love to hear from you. Simply send us an email. Our email address is hello@hollyandrobert.com. We're always excited to connect with our listeners.
So until next time, thank you again for joining us on Between Over and Next.
Thank you for listening to Between Over and Next, the podcast that navigates the twists and turns of life with courage, laughter, and a whole lot of inspiration. Tune in every Tuesday to hang out with Holli and Robert on your favorite podcast platform. Visit hollyandrobert.com and follow them on social media to ignite your passion and fuel your dreams.